Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Reason We Learn. I'm your host, Deb Fillman. At The Reason We Learn, we aspire to be part of the solution. The purpose of this show is to take a good, honest, potentially painful look at the way kids are being educated. We know we can do better, and this is where we'll talk about how. Let's learn something. It's me again. So it seems like I need to say some more things about school choice because people are going to the article and they're not reading it. Or they're just reading up to the part where it says, I changed my mind about supporting it and all hell is breaking loose. Or they're just seeing the title and they're responding to the title. And so, you know what? I'm just going to put this out there. I'm going to get it out there. I'm going to take each argument one by one. Okay. First argument. Why do you want to keep kids trapped in their public schools? Well, obviously I don't. Duh. I keep begging people to pull their kids out and find some kind of way, if not to homeschool them, then to start a micro school or figure out some kind of situation, share with their neighbors, do whatever you got to do, put them in a co-op. I'm going to say something and you're not going to like it. Unless there is literally a court order because you're in a divorce situation and your spouse won't let you, or maybe you're married and it's a rocky marriage and they won't let you homeschool, do not tell me you can't. You can, you choose not to. When I say can, I mean you may, unless you don't have a high school diploma, then, maybe in some states you might have a problem. But if there's no person in your household with a high school diploma who could be responsible for the homeschool, like the other parent or a grandparent or somebody, okay, maybe you have an excuse. But my point is the government lets you in every state in this country. So you can. There's that. Second thing, it doesn't cost that much to homeschool. You could homeschool a child for about $100 a year. If you were super motivated to do it, you could. You don't have to be a teacher. You don't have to be an expert. We've been over this a million times. So you could. I don't have the patience. Who said it had to be you? I could refute all of your arguments. That's not the issue. I have to work. Okay, so you have to work. You have a childcare problem. All right? You don't have I can't homeschool problem. You have a childcare problem. Solve the problems that you have. What do you do in the summer? Start there. Figure out what your core problem is. Take a look at your budget. Figure out how much you're really making, how much you're paying in taxes for the job that one or the other of you works that makes less money than the other. If there's two of you, if there's only one of you and you absolutely have to work, you won't pay the rent. Okay, fine. Consider, you might not like this, consider changing around some of your lifestyle. Some of the things that you do, dig deep, go into savings, look at your savings, whatever. Could you work fewer hours? Could you work part-time? Could you work a different shift? Could you find a friend? Could you join a co-op and find other moms, or other single parents who work and join forces? I know people who've done it, so I know it's possible. I know people who've done it. Where there's a will, there's a way. You can. You choose not to. I'm not judging you. That's fine. It's a free country. You can make that choice. You can make the choice. My point is having made that choice, that you got to own that. You've got to take responsibility for the fact that you've made that choice in the reality where the government has conscripted, your child to be there, in some kind of schooling and for your money to be taken and my money to be taken. Look, I'm not using it. So for people who live in North Carolina, the people whose kids are in the schools using my money. Okay, because I'm not. I got to pay extra. So you're making a choice, own the choice, and recognize that you're not going to get heaping mounds of sympathy from me when you say, I'm okay with the government continuing to take money from you and take money from everybody else. I just want them to give me some of it so I can go make a different choice. You're making an immoral statement. You're making a demand that sounds a whole lot like what socialists do. You're saying it's perfectly okay that the status quo is the status quo, that they take our money, that they decide how much to take, that they decide how much to spend, that they decide how much they're going to give to a person, getting a voucher or doing a school choice, ESA program or whatever, and how much to give to the public school. And by the way, it will always be more for the public school. It will always be more. Okay. So you have a measure of choice now. You just don't like your choices. And what you're saying when you say, I want school choices, I want the government to give me permission to make a longer list of choices with some of the same dollars they would otherwise use if I went to the thing they made for us. Okay? But it is a choice. Sucky choice. It's kind of like, here's, there are 2 prisons here. You can go to this prison that you don't like. You can go to this other prison, which is, by the way, probably a mystery because you don't know if it's going to be better or not, but we're only going to give you a portion of what it costs, make up the difference. And then I always have to ask people, well, if they're not going to give you the full tuition, because they're not going to give you the full tuition. Even vouchers aren't the full tuition. You're going to have to get the rest from scholarships, financial aid, or your own money. So the extra that you're probably going to pay if you don't qualify for all those other financial aid sources is probably all you'd need right now to homeschool. But, I'm just going to leave that out there. I don't want to. Okay, own it. I don't want to. So you're making a choice. Now, having made the choice, like I said, don't come back and tell me that somehow you want to keep the money that government's taking from you, me, and all your neighbors. And I can almost guarantee you don't personally contribute as much as they'd give you for a voucher. Just saying. I don't personally contribute in my property taxes enough for 3 children in terms of per pupil costs. I can assure you I don't. So even if they give you back half of the per pupil costs in North Carolina, I don't pay that much in taxes. And I have a decent sized house. So, this whole, it's my money. Yeah. It's probably a whole lot of childless seniors' money too. And, young 20-somethings money and the business down the street's money. And it's a whole bunch of other people's money. So just acknowledge it. You're taking that. You're taking a subsidy. Okay. So that's what you want. I want to continue to validate the immoral practice of taking money from people to pay for something that would be my responsibility as a parent anyway. Kind of like feeding my kid, like the video I just did. It's your responsibility. You put a child on this planet. It's your responsibility to educate them if you want them to have an education. It's your responsibility to teach them manners and character and every other thing. If you want to outsource that to other people, but you somehow want government to cover the cost, meaning your neighbors, then, to a certain extent, you get what you get because that's what you're asking for. You're asking for everybody else to do this. So you're thinking, well, it's my money and I went back and I want to do it my way, whatever. Well, if you really wanted to do it your way, you would do it your way. But again, let's take a look at what some of the arguments are for this half measure, this, step in the right direction, the so-called good that I'm making and I'm making perfect the enemy of or whatever. Let's take a look at that. Is it even good? All right. Well, first of all, I've talked on this channel many times, talked to the Undercover Mothers. I've talked to Paul Rossi. I've talked to so many people. I've talked to Lyle Asher, who knows all about teacher education. Not sure how many more people we can bring up to tell you that private schools are woke. In many cases, more woke than the public schools because they can do whatever the hell they want. They operate according to what their accreditation standards are. Their accreditation is like saying they submit themselves to a government to regulate them because there are parents who think that means something. I'm here to tell you it doesn't, but a lot of parents do. Oh, they're accredited. Some states require accreditation. But regardless, they're submitting themselves to some regulatory board, most of them, that's saying you must do XYZ PDQ. And some of the largest accreditation organizations are woke AF. We're talking thousands and thousands of private schools, some of the very best, the Tony schools. They're woke. They're already woke. They're woker. Now, you sign an enrollment if your kid gets in. That's the other thing everyone's assuming. I'm going to get the school choice dollars. My child's going to get into the private school of my choice. Okay, well, we'll chat about that in a little bit. But, okay, they get in, they go to the school, and you sign an enrollment contract. And in the enrollment contract, it says, I will not criticize the school or complain about anything or do it. Yeah, they do say that. You should read some enrollment contracts before you go supporting school choice and saying, I'm going to go to a private school. Okay, so you read this and it's like, I sign away my civil rights to attend the school. Okay, interesting. And then you use money for that, and you go there and you don't like things, and it turns out to be very woke, and you're a month into the year, but you gave the money, like, can I have that money back, please? This is crazy. You're like teaching my kid how to have all different kinds of sex they weren't even doing in the public school. I was just afraid they were going to do it. So okay, no, you can't have it. It's right there, and see the fine print. It's like, we catch you. It's sorry. You should have done your homework. You knew where we were. This stuff isn't secret. So, strawberry seed. Anyway. So, they're woke. And that's presuming you've got a fair number of private schools around you. Not everybody does. A lot of rural places in America. But let's say you got a bunch of choices. You think, I know, I'll go to a religious school. Okay, super. Well, hope hope you are that religion, because then your child is exposed to that. And if they're not, you don't care. That's fine. Check out the school though, because there are lots of woke Catholic schools. The Episcopal Church is completely gone. That's what Paul Rossi ran into. They're woke. Probably Muslim madrasas are not. You want to go with one of those? Okay, so maybe not. Jewish schools, woke. They're woke. I have a friend trying desperately to find a non-woke private school. She has the money to pay for it. She wants the kids out of the public school. Cannot find it. So my point to you is, if there are people with money right now who are like, I don't care. I'm out. I can't take this anymore. I don't want to be in this public school anymore. It's completely insane. And they can't find anything better to spend money extra on. How is suddenly government money going to like magically going to make these non-woke schools appear? They're just going to magically appear out of nowhere? What's more likely, actually, is that when the money's put in people's hands, there will be private interests like, I don't know, who maybe like Chan Zuckerberg and Bill Gates and a few other people come along. They get deep pockets. They're mission driven. And they suddenly go, you know, right now we're selling the curriculum and programs, or we're giving it away to teachers and sending it into the public schools where parents show up at a school board meeting and they complain and they may or may not use it, or, you know, there might be opting out and this and that and the other. Wouldn't it be just so much more efficient? Oh, and we could make some money too if we build a school or 12 around the country, major urban areas, and we, you know, Jan Zuckerberg Social Justice Academy and Bill and Melinda Gates, blah, 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 you know, school, whatever. And then we can just teach them directly. We can just meet the UNESCO goals and the WEF goals like so much quicker. And the government's going to help us fund it. Isn't that awesome? Because if they create a program like that, and there's that opportunity, and there are kids who would go to the Bill Gates, you know, future Academy of Leaders or whatever, and you know there are, why not? They can't deny them. They can't say we're giving school dollars to the, you know, those sane, rational, you know, right-leaning, conservative, Christian, libertarian, whatever. Only them. They're the ones who are really upset, so we're going to give them money. You know, the domestic terrorists that we hate. The ones that where I was sending the FBI to look into. Yeah, we're going to totally let them go spend this money wherever they want, do whatever they want, and let them start schools galore. Really? Really? Because remember, the government also decides who gets to start a school. Government of your state decides what a school is, what kind of hoops somebody has to jump through to open an independent school, what kind of inspections I got to go through, what the rules about who they're going to teach, who they're going to accept. Oh, and you know what? Last time, as I recall, we had government money infused into something, you know, whether it was Medicare, Medicaid, Medicare Part D, Obamacare. Those providers, those private providers who wanted to take any of that money had to take all, meaning they had a really hard time maintaining specific standards, saying, I want to take these people, but not these people. So how long before the schools that decide they're going to take this money have to change their standards so they're no longer the great school that they once were academically, if they even are? And how long before they start saying you must teach, if you're going to take these school choice voucher dollars, whatever, we need to check in and make sure you have a comprehensive sex ed education program. We need to make sure, and of course, the Catholic Church has already been to that. Did you know? Yeah, the Catholic Church is already teaching like more sex ed than they ever did because the government said so, and they're not even taking money. So they'll do that. They'll say you have to do this, but have to do that. And then they'll start the private schools, some of them which need the money, will bend to the pressure and they will start to resemble, right, the public schools that you fled because the government took the opportunity of using public money to come in and say, here are the 10 ways you need to be more like those other schools. And the private schools, most of them, if they want to be solvent or they want to continue to be in business or have jobs, they'll do it. They'll do it. They want to keep being a school. Unless they have some like hardcore mission of like, no, we want to be a non-woke school. I mean, Hillsdale, but Hillsdale doesn't take money now. Hillsdale doesn't take any, Hillsdale College doesn't do the federal loan program. It's completely privately funded. So, you know, chances are they'll continue. Now, they do have charter schools, but charter schools still raise most of their own money themselves, ironically. They're public schools, but they raise most of it themselves, and then they maintain it and so forth and so on. So they do take everybody. They'll take anybody. And their curriculum doesn't preclude that, but their curriculum, charter schools get to design a curriculum any damn way they please. It's ironic, right? There are private schools that affiliate with an accrediting agency who have less room to move than a charter. Doesn't mean charters are good. Some are terrible. I mean, you really have to do your research. But the point is that this idea that the private schools with this magical haven of unwokeness is a myth. It is a myth. It is not grounded in reality. Okay? So yes, people might build schools, but my question for you is, given how marketable an unwoke private school would be right now, where are they? Am I missing them? The private schools that exist that lean unwoke, don't you think they'd be selling that as a selling point, given how many parents are screaming and yelling on the television and we see so many problems, and there are definitely a lot of people fleeing the schools, enrollments are down, golden opportunity? Or could it be that a lot of people in the education world are woke to their core? They were educated that way. They went into teaching because they're activists. They're true believers. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And the rest are just moral cowards. So there's not some, magical place where unwoke educators are just waiting for you to get your voucher and your ESA money to come in and teach your child using phonics and keeping sex out of the classroom. That doesn't exist. You have a better chance of pulling 10 of your friends together, starting a micro school, and finding the 4 or 5, recently retired teachers from your district that couldn't take it anymore and starting your own school like that than getting your solution through school choice. I can almost guarantee that. And if some conservatives did decide to start a school, et cetera, how fast before government entities, whatever, would decide to craft some regulations that basically made it impossible for you to operate the way you want to operate, or to accept the money if you did, but perfectly fine for the far left school to go off the cliff into crazy town. Like, well, all schools that get this money or accept this money need to have accommodations for the trans students. I mean, if Biden's in charge and they change Title IX and things, why not? Of course they'll do it, even for private schools. Most private schools have already changed themselves to be like that voluntarily because their accreditation agencies have made them. And they dutifully comply. Why wouldn't they comply with the guys with the guns who are going, here's a big money bag that comes with these students, many of whom could be woke, by the way, so they want it that way. They also want it that way. Turn on the TV, turn on the news, like the perception, even if it isn't the reality, is that that's pretty much the dominant culture, that's what everyone wants. People who administer private schools and sit on boards of private schools are really not much different than that, majority perception anyway. Again, I don't know about the actual majority of people. So when people say, well, okay, yeah, that's true, and okay, maybe that's true too, and okay, I guess you have a point about that, but I guess this, and I guess that, and but we still should do it, but I still want to do it, but it might help, but it's better than nothing. Like, saying it's better than nothing is grounded in faith, not facts. It's faith, not facts. Even if you think like, no, but there's this private school and I already know it, it's unwoke, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to get the money, I'm going to go over here, and I've got it all planned out, I've done my homework. That's present state. That's like right now. The fact that there's something called education dollars means they're exposed to the political system. Somebody comes into office campaigning on, I'm going to get oversight into these schools. I hear they have a library that is very conservative Christian, but whatever they're calling it now, neo-Christian, fascist, whatever. I'm going to make sure that we get oversight in that school. I mean, they're punishing parents. They're punishing people using the IRS. You don't think they're going to go and punish conservative-leaning schools? So whatever the present state is, you're acting on faith it's going to stay that way long enough for your kid to go through it, or be there when you need it, not going to change, or just exist at all. I talk to people, I'm like, where are these schools you plan to attend? They'll be there in time for your kid? Like, it's magic? We're going to snap our fingers? And then the next argument, it's incremental. We do this, and it's a step in the right direction. Like, what direction is that? Because the only people I see making steps are the government. On our backs, we're carrying them on our backs. Picture a cartoon where we're like carrying those government dollars, which means politicians, into the private settings. That's who's making steps in the right direction as far as they're concerned. How do we get our butts into the private schools to start really doing what UNESCO wants and have like all students and all teachers and everybody be, thought of as one system, so that, governments can make sure that we're actually, protecting everybody? How do we do that? Hey, let's give them a choice to use these dollars over there. We'll add on some regulations later. Remember, they can't write a law. that doesn't have room for, like government approved programs, like listed this and that and the other. What does that mean? What does approved mean? They're not specifying today because it might change. It will change. They have to leave room for it to change because of politics, because that's the democratic process. And wouldn't you want it to? Picture this. The Church of Satan opens a private school. They want to take school choice dollars and start using the Constitution and the First Amendment and this and that to justify their argument that they should open a private school. Let us open a private school. Now, the government could say no, but this could become a big landmark case. So how are you saying no to us? There's Catholic schools, there's Jewish schools, Muslim schools. Why not us? They got their statute, didn't they? Okay, fine. Church of Satan school. We want to accept school vouchers. Oh, dear. What's your argument against it? I'm being a little extreme, but it could happen. What's your argument against it? Your legal, ethical, moral argument against it. Tough to make, isn't it? Okay, you're going to have to come up with something, aren't you? You're going to want to come up with something. You're going to be like, these innocent children, what if? Okay, maybe it's not the Church of Satan. What if it's just the completely gender-neutral school where nobody has a gender and everybody goes in and is introduced to the concept of gender theory the day they get there, and they have a little health clinic on site where they can trans the kids at will. Parents love it, though. Parents love it. They want it. They want to use government dollars to pay for it. Everything's awesome, whatever. Oh, and, maybe the school across town has a Planned Parenthood clinic beside it, too, and they want to take school dollars. You want that? You want to subsidize that? You want school choice dollars going to that? Or would you maybe like some oversight that, I don't know, the schools and tax dollars should be paying for this? Of course you would want oversight. Of course you would. Why wouldn't you? You should. It's your money, partly, this much. But everybody has this like fantasy notion that it's going to be like, they're all going to, it's like my fantasy city on a hill. I mean, Ronald Reagan said it. Milton Friedman said if you put the federal government in charge, of the Sahara Desert, it would run out of sand. I mean, if you allow government in the door, if the step in the direction is being made by dollars that came from government that have regulations attached to them, if not now, then potentially in the future, you need some pretty heavy guardrails to keep that truck from going off the cliff. It's going to happen. If you don't believe me, or you are just diehard that I'm a crazy person, I'm a naysayer, I'm a cynic, I'm whatever you want to call me, that's fine. Call me names all day long, but bring me back an example. I just need one. Just give me one example of a state-funded program or public-private partnership where the public part of it didn't put some kind of rules and regulations on the private part of it in order to take the money. Any of you who've ever worked with government contracts before, or even state contracts, know that. Who you have to hire, who you can't fire, how many breaks to give, blah, 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 blah. I mean, that's true of any employer. But if you're doing government contracts, if you are taking any taxpayer money to do a job, what happens? The regulators, go talk to small businesses that ever do any work for the government at all. I mean, even if you deliver food to the frigging government, suddenly your whole business has to run that way. Even if like 80% of your business is private companies. If you want to take that government contract, that's what you have to do. Well, why would it be different? Find me an example where it wasn't that way. Medicare, Medicaid, Obamacare. You take one patient, you got to take them all. So like I said, now let's get back to the standard. So the private school now says, we have, entrance exams. We have an application process. We have this. Oh, we noticed that your application process has a standardized test, and we think that's racist. So that's why you don't have enough diversity. You need an equity program. If you're going to take school choice dollars, you're going to need an equity program just like the public schools. It's only fair. They get public dollars. You get public dollars. You need an equity program. Oh, P.S. You also need to pay attention to mental health the way we say you do, because you're taking public dollars. You're accepting in these kids who would otherwise be in the public school. You're denying them equal access to the mental health care they would have gotten. Can't have that. We can't be paying for something that's not equal access. This is an important thing. They're entitled to it. You better deliver. So now what's going to happen is you have schools that go, shit, I have all these expenses. Now I got to have a counselor and a psychologist and a this and a that, and I got to do SEL. And they have to make a choice. They're going to say, we're not taking this public money, or we're not taking it anymore. We're going to stop accepting vouchers. We're going to stop accepting kids who use ESAs. And then your kid might be out on their ear. Your kid might have been the honor student on their way to graduating with honors or whatever. And it's like, I'm sorry, we can't take your ESA money because they put a restriction on us to change all our bathrooms, to have, tampons in the this and urinals in the that, because we accept public money and we can't afford it. So we have to stop accepting public money. And all of the students that were public money attendees have to go. Yeah, there were only like 10 of you because we still maintained some semblance of, entrance exam stuff. So bye, it's been nice having you. That could be one way it could go. Or they go ahead and they succumb, the school starts to fall apart, and what is it now like? Oh, right, it's a public school that you apply to privately. That 5 years hence is just like the public school. Sweden did this. Now homeschooling is illegal and all the schools are public. There are no private schools. By private, I mean that do their own thing without government telling them what to do. I'm sorry this isn't the happy news you want. I'm sorry that school choice isn't going to save you. I've already told you on this channel how the teachers are educated. How is that going to be different? They're going to magical different teacher colleges? And this step in the right direction where it's incremental and we're going to have these private schools and then people are going to go in them and they're going to come out unwoke. And then what? They're going to magically vote right when they grow up. They're not going to go to college and maybe be swayed there. They're not going to be exposed to things someplace else that are woke and go continue on to, keep this system. And if you think for a second that the WEF and UNESCO and everybody else and the teachers union, they're awfully quiet lately. It's awfully quiet. They used to be full court press against school choice. Lately, it's like, they don't have much to say about it anymore. They have plans. I can almost guarantee you there's probably a plan in the works for, like I said, Bill Gates, somebody, open up schools and hire union teachers to work in them. I can almost guarantee it's going to happen. And then there will start to be pressure on the other schools that they need to be open to hiring union teachers. And then, of course, the union teachers want to unionize all the private school teachers, and then the private school teachers will be contending with union people. I just tell it like I see it. I'm just telling you how our government works. And there is no dollar. If you talk about any step you take away from government while carrying money you got from government, remember, they're not telling you, don't pay your taxes anymore. Just check a box on them that, I opted out of public school. Bye-bye. I'm not telling you what I assume we're all homeschoolers now, and I'll just take that money and do what the hell I want with it, and I don't need to report to you what I'm doing with it because I'm a parent. I'm just educating my kids kind of like I'm feeding them. I don't check in with you about what I feed them. They're not doing that. So every dollar that they go, we deign to give you these dollars. Here you go. They could take it away. They could add strings, but they're walking the walk with you. They're coming in right behind you, and in many cases ahead of you. So there you have it. I mean, like I said, you don't have to agree with me. You can tell me how, you're wrong. I'm wrong. And, that's great. I actually would love for one of you to prove me wrong, but I'm starting with the principle that it's wrong for them to take the money in the first place, and it's wrong for them to have compulsory education, and it's wrong. This whole system is wrong, and we don't go in a right direction starting from the wrong premise. It just doesn't work. We need a parallel economy. We need parallel systems of education. You may have to sit down and say goodbye to the money they collected for you for school and just say it's gone. Guess what? They collected money from you for a lot of things you're probably never going to see again. Social Security, Medicare. How many people have Medicare, have to have Medicare Advantage or Medicare, supplemental insurance? Almost everybody who could possibly afford it has supplemental. Why isn't everybody clamoring for, I want medicine choice. Give me my money back. Don't make me go to the, doctor that takes Medicare. Reimburse things at a level where I can actually get the care. Don't give me the substandard crap. No. You give it away. You're going to get what you get. It sucks. Elect people who don't want to tax the crap out of you. But don't tell me that I should support a program that will help you or your child get out of school that requires me to still be violated. Why am I supporting this? Why would I did before and I hadn't thought it through? I was a supporter. I was like, yeah, this is great. This is the only moral choice. We got to do it. Some choice is better than no choice. I made all the same damn arguments that you guys are making. And then I learned. And then I did this weird thing that people used to do. I did research. I checked my premises. I found out I was wrong and I changed my mind. And so I've come here to tell you that I've changed my mind. I'm sorry if it means you don't like me anymore. I truly am. But I can't lie to you. And I don't want to blow sunshine up your butt. I want you to know the truth. I want you to know what you're getting into and plan accordingly. If you think you can outrun the government regulations because your kid has only 2 more years of school and it's going to really help you and you know exactly what private school you're going to go to, whatever. Okay. I mean, especially if they've already passed it in your state. I'm not going to tell you don't do it. If you're a homeschooler, though, I'm going to tell you don't take the money. You're just going to wreck it for everybody else. You really, and I mean, you might say, I don't care. I mean, all right, but you're wrecking it for yourself. Because the more homeschoolers go and take that money, they're going to outlaw homeschool. They're going to do it. They want to. They want any excuse to do it. People think they can do it today. They have a tougher road to hoe because we're leaving our money on the table. There's Supreme Court precedent to protect us because we're going off minding our own business and letting them keep our money. But if we start clamoring for that and saying we want that, they will start with regulations and they will end with a ban. And the more money we take, the more they'll have cause and justification to do it. What's the point? Why do we do homeschool anyway? We're already telling you everything to do. So, like I said, that's what they did in Sweden. Don't let it happen here. But I just can't support it. I'm going to instead support people who want to fight for abolition, people who want to fight for education liberty. You have my support all day long. That is what I want. That is what I'm going to argue for until I'm blue in the face. And that puts me on the bad side of a whole lot of very powerful people, and so be it. So be it. It is what it is. I have to tell the truth. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. And if you are, thank you for your support. And please consider supporting me in one of the ways listed below. I appreciate it greatly. Have a great weekend.